You know, it happens pretty much every single spring. You're walking down the street, maybe heading to grab a coffee or something, and you just look down at the sidewalk.
Yeah, and there it is.
Right. Right there, pushing up through this tiny, seemingly impossible crack in the concrete is this tough little green plant. And most of us, we just, we step right over it.
Or we actively try to destroy it.
Exactly. If it's in our driveway, we spray it, we pull it, we pave over it. We are just completely convinced it's this irritating weed that's ruining the landscaping.
It really is kind of the ultimate underdog story of the botanical world, you know? Like, we decimate their natural habitats, we lay down thousands of tons of asphalt, and they just find this microscopic fissure and stubbornly keep on growing.
They really do. And since today is Friday, April 10th, 2026, and we are right in the thick of that explosive spring growth, it is the absolute perfect time to talk about this hidden green world right outside our doors.
Absolutely.
So, welcome to the Deep Dive, which is specifically tailored for you, the learner. Today, our mission is to really examine the extraordinary healing herbs that grow wild, like commonly in nature. We're exploring a stack of materials that detail 11 wild and naturalized herbs that can be brewed into highly potent, medicinally beneficial teas.
Yeah, and we really need to set a baseline here before we get into the biology of it all.
Right.
Because these are not, exotic imports that require this massive carbon footprint to acquire. They aren't laboratory creations isolated in some petri dish.
No, not at all.
These are highly resilient plants that have just quietly thrived alongside human civilizations for millennia, and they're completely free of charge.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because the materials we're looking at make a really bold claim. By the end of this deep dive, you will never look the weeds in your sidewalk cracks the same way again.
You really won't.
We are shifting the entire perspective from, nuisance to medicine. And I want to start with a plant that gets a notoriously bad rap. Goldenrod.
Oh, goldenrod.
Yeah, every late summer, people point at this beautiful yellow meadow plant, and they just blame it for their terrible hay fever.
I mean, it is perhaps the greatest botanical injustice of our time. Goldenrod is completely innocent.
Right. I was reading through the background on this, and the injustice of it all is just wild to me.
It really is.
Because goldenrod's pollen is, it's heavy and sticky. It literally cannot become airborne. It has to be carried from plant to plant by insects.
Exactly.
So the actual culprit making you sneeze is ragweed, which, blooms at the exact same time in the exact same fields, but its green flowers are practically invisible. So goldenrod basically takes the fall just because it's wearing a bright yellow shirt at the scene of the crime.
That's a great way to put it. And, what's fascinating here is the sheer irony of the situation.
How so?
Well, not only is goldenrod innocent of causing your allergies, but goldenrod tea is actually a highly effective natural antihistamine.
Wait, really? So it treats the exact thing it's accused of causing?
Yes.
How does that actually work in the body, though?
Okay, so think about an allergic reaction, right? Your body encounters a harmless particle, panics, and releases histamines.
Which causes swelling and stuff.
Right, histamines are chemicals that cause inflammation, sneezing, a runny nose, basically trying to flush the invader out.
Yeah.
Goldenrod actively reduces your histamine reactivity. It tightens and tones those inflamed mucous membranes in your sinuses. It's essentially telling your immune system to, stand down and stop overreacting to the environment.
That is mind-blowing. It's like arresting the paramedic who shows up to treat the accident.
Exactly.
And beyond allergies, it's apparently a premier urinary system herb. It acts as a diuretic, and it actively inhibits bacterial growth in the urinary tract.
It's incredibly versatile.
So if goldenrod is tackling our internal immune responses, what about the physical damage on the outside? Or even the tissues lining our gut? Because that brings us to a plant that practically defines the word weed.
Ah, yes. Plantain.
Plantain. Yeah. And just to be clear, not the banana look-alike, but the broadleaf and narrowleaf plants found on literally every inhabited continent on Earth.
Yeah, you've undoubtedly stepped on it today. It loves lawns, fields, and those sidewalk cracks we mentioned earlier.
Definitely.
But medically, it is remarkably potent. It contains a specific compound called aucubin. Now, aucubin is an iridoid glycoside.
Okay, wait, pause right there. Iridoid glycoside. That sounds like something straight out of a really dense chemistry textbook.
Yeah.
What does that actually mean for the human body?
Fair enough, fair enough. So in the plant itself, an iridoid glycoside is basically a defense mechanism. It makes the plant taste bitter to bugs, so they, stop eating it.
Oh, clever.
Right? But when humans ingest it, that exact same molecule acts as a really powerful anti-inflammatory. It essentially intercepts the inflammatory pathways in your liver and your tissues, calming down the swelling.
Wow.
And the thing is, plantain pairs that with another compound called allantoin.
And allantoin is the one that promotes cellular regeneration, right?
Precisely. Allantoin actively signals your cells to multiply and repair themselves. It visibly speeds up the healing process of damaged tissue.
Which, I mean, that makes perfect sense when you combine it with the plant's mucilage.
Oh, the mucilage is key.
Right, because when you brew plantain into a tea or even just chew it up, that mucilage acts almost like a soothing internal liquid bandage.
That's a perfect analogy.
If you have a dry, irritated cough, it coats the bronchial passages. If you have a UTI, it soothes the inflamed tissue while that allantoin heals the micro tears. It even coats the gut lining for conditions like leaky gut.
It does.
So I really have to ask, isn't it deeply ironic that we spend millions of dollars buying chemical sprays to kill the exact plants in our yards that could heal our irritated tissues?
I mean, it is a profound paradox of modern living. We completely eradicate a free, cellularly regenerative plant from our lawns, only to, drive to the pharmacy to buy synthetic anti-inflammatories and artificial wound barriers.
It's wild. And, well, since we're recording this in mid-April, let's look at how the seasons play into this.
Oh, spring tonics.
Yeah. In traditional practices, spring was the time to clear out the stagnant accumulation of winter, right?
Yeah.
Just flood the body with dense nutrition. And that brings us to nettle.
Yes, Urtica dioica.
But I have to push back here. The notes suggest drinking nettle tea. You really want the listener to actively seek out a plant that literally attacks you with stinging needles when you brush against it.
I completely understand the hesitation. I really do. Stinging nettle definitely demands respect.
I mean, it hurts.
It does. Those quote-unquote needles are actually microscopic silica hairs, and they're filled with formic acid. It's the exact same acid that ants use when they bite you.
See, that does not make me want to drink it.
Stick with me here. Here is the critical mechanism. Those silica hairs are incredibly fragile, and formic acid is highly volatile.
Okay.
So the drying process, and especially pouring boiling hot water over the plant to brew a tea, it completely shatters those hairs and evaporates the acid.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the sting is 100% neutralized,
Hmm.
and what you are left with is a deeply, deeply mineral-rich infusion.
Okay, and it really is dense. I was looking at the breakdown. It's extraordinarily high in iron, calcium, magnesium, and vitamins A, C, and K.
It's basically a multivitamin.
Yeah, I see it recommended a lot for anemia and profound fatigue. Plus, it acts as a gentle diuretic and another natural antihistamine for spring allergies.
Right. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, think about our ancestors coming out of a long, harsh winter.
Food stores are depleted.
Exactly. Nutritional deficiency is setting in. And then this fierce, stinging plant emerges as one of the first greens of spring. Traditional cultures recognized that the sting was just a protective barrier guarding this nutritional powerhouse.
They just had to figure out how to bypass the security system.
Exactly. They figured out how to unlock this incredibly dense, free nutrition to survive.
That makes a lot of sense. But dumping all those raw building blocks into a stagnant system doesn't do much good if the body's still clogged with winter metabolic waste.
No, you need to clear the pathways.
Which brings us to the next mechanism and another early spring arrival: cleavers. This is that sprawling kind of Velcro-like climbing plant that sticks to your clothes when you walk through the woods.
Yes, Galium aperine.
And it's celebrated as a lymphatic, tonic, and an alterative.
Yes, so alterative is a traditional term for herbs that gradually restore proper function to the body, almost always by improving the elimination of metabolic waste.
Right.
And cleavers is highly specific to the lymphatic system.
Let's break that down for a sec. The lymphatic system doesn't have a pump like the heart to push fluid around, right?
Exactly. Your lymphatic system relies entirely on your physical movement to push fluid through the lymph nodes, where immune cells attack bacteria and process cellular waste.
So if you're not moving.
Right. In the winter, when we are generally more sedentary, that fluid becomes thick and stagnant. Cleavers is a cooling herb that things that lymphatic fluid and actually supports the vessels in moving it along.
Oh, wow.
It essentially helps the body take out the cellular trash after a long, inactive winter.
Taking out the trash and reducing the stagnation. I love that. And growing right alongside cleavers, We have violets.
Ah, violets are wonderful.
You know them? The heart-shaped leaves and early purple or white flowers. I was honestly shocked to read that violet leaves and flowers are often higher in vitamins A and C by weight than oranges.
They pack a massive punch.
Plus, they contain a bioflavonoid called rutin.
Rutin is fascinating. Think of it as structural scaffolding for your cardiovascular system.
Scaffolding.
Yeah, it specifically strengthens the walls of your capillaries, preventing them from becoming brittle or, leaking fluid into the surrounding tissues.
And violets also act as a gentle expectorant for chest congestion. But again, it's about the how. It's the mechanism.
Right. The expectorant quality here is key because over-the-counter cough medicines usually work by suppressing the neurological reflex to cough.
They just turn the cough off.
Exactly. But violets do the exact opposite. The high mucilage content in violets actually hydrates and loosens the thick, hardened mucus in the lungs.
It thins it out.
Right, making it vastly easier for the body to naturally clear the lungs with a gentle, productive cough rather than forcing those dry, hacking spasms.
Okay, so we've covered raw nutrition and clearing out the winter sluggishness, but here's where it gets really interesting.
Oh, definitely.
Because these wild herbs, they act as incredibly sophisticated regulators for our internal systems. Let's look at meadowsweet.
A beautiful plant.
It's this fragrant plant found near streams, and it is famously the plant that gave us aspirin.
Correct. Acetylsalicylic acid, which is the active isolated ingredient in aspirin, was originally derived from the chemical compounds found in meadowsweet.
But the whole plant works so differently than the isolated pill. I mean, if you take a lot of aspirin on an empty stomach, it notoriously eats away at your stomach lining.
It can cause ulcers, yeah.
But meadowsweet tea actually protects the stomach. How is that even possible if it contains the same underlying chemicals?
Well, this raises an important question about how modern pharmacology operates versus, traditional whole plant medicine.
Okay, let's hear it.
Pharmacology tends to identify the single most active compound, like the salicylic acid in meadowsweet, and then it extracts it. They synthesize it, concentrate it, and put it in a pill.
Right.
And it's highly effective for pain, sure, but you strip away all the plant's natural buffering agents in the process.
Because the plant actually provides its own built-in protection.
Exactly.
Meadowsweet has that soothing mucilage we talked about earlier, plus tannins that tone and tighten the tissue. So while its salicylate derivatives are busy reducing inflammation and pain, the rest of the plant is literally coating the stomach wall so it doesn't get irritated.
It's remarkable.
I mean, it's basically a smart drug. It delivers the pain relief, but comes with a built-in antacid.
It really is a complete package deal. The plant evolved these compounds in perfect balance, and the human body receives them in balance.
Now, another incredible internal regulator is lemon balm. It's a member of the mint family. It smells intensely like lemon, and it acts heavily on the nervous system.
Yes, Melissa officinalis.
I read that it actually targets GABA receptors in the brain.
Okay, let's explain GABA. Gamma-aminobutyric acid, or GABA, is an inhibitory neurotransmitter.
What does that mean in plain English?
If your nervous system is a car, adrenaline is the gas pedal and GABA is the brake pedal. It basically tells your firing neurons to slow down and just relax. Many heavy prescription anti-anxiety medications actually target these exact same GABA receptors to force the brain into a sedated state.
But lemon balm isn't a heavy sedative.
No, not at all. It acts on those receptors to gently lower cortisol, reduce nervous palpitations, and aid sleep. But it does so with a non-addictive mechanism. It doesn't leave you feeling groggy or incapacitated the next day.
It also has potent antiviral activity, particularly against the herpes simplex virus, which is the one that causes cold sores.
It's very effective topically for that.
Though the notes do include a really specific caution. Lemon balm can mildly inhibit the thyroid gland's output. So anyone taking hypothyroid medications really needs to be careful because it could actively work against their prescription.
That is a very important caveat, yes.
Speaking of hormonal impacts, red clover is another super common yard plant. You see those little pink glow blossoms everywhere?
Oh, red clover is brilliant because it yields one of the richest plant sources of isoflavones, which are a type of phytoestrogen.
Phytoestrogen meaning like plant-based estrogen.
Right.
And it interacts directly with the body's estrogen receptors, which is why it's widely used for perimenopause and menopause symptoms like hot flashes. But I want to make sure I understand the mechanism here.
Sure.
If someone is dealing with fluctuating estrogen, how does adding plant estrogen actually help?
It's all about how these compounds dock into the body's receptors. Think of your cell's estrogen receptor like a lock, and the body's natural estrogen as a very powerful key that turns the lock all the way on.
Okay, I'm with you.
During menopause, estrogen levels spike and crash wildly, creating this roller coaster of intense symptoms. The phytoestrogens in red clover act like a weaker, gentler key.
They fit the same lock.
Yes, they dock into those same locks. By taking up the space, they prevent the body's powerful estrogen spikes from hitting the receptors. But because they are inherently weak, they also provide a baseline of gentle estrogenic activity when the body's natural levels suddenly crash.
Ah, I see. It essentially smooths out the roller coaster.
Exactly.
It binds to the receptors to moderate the hormonal shifts, rather than just aggressively overriding the entirendocrine system.
It's a very modulating effect.
It's also a lymphatic mover, like cleavers, which is great. But again, a caution here, it contains coumarins, which have blood-thinning properties.
And, paying attention to those biochemical cautions is absolutely vital as we transition to what I would call the heavy hitters of the herbal world.
Exactly. We are escalating now. We aren't just talking about gentle spring tonics or wild nervous system regulators anymore.
No, we are in deep waters now.
We're talking about herbs with massive clinical backing that act on severe physiological states. Things like aggressive viral infections, acute bleeding, and clinical depression. Let's start with elder.
Sambucus nigra.
The shrub that gives us elderflower and elderberry.
So elderflower, especially taken as a hot tea, is a classic diaphoretic.
Diaphoretic, meaning it makes you sweat.
Yes. It means it works with the body to gently open the pores and induce perspiration.
Which is completely counter to how we usually treat fevers today.
Mm-hmm.
Normally, you feel a fever coming on, and you immediately pop a pill to artificially suppress it and lower your temperature.
Precisely. We just shut off the body's immune response. But a fever is the body intentionally raising its internal thermostat to burn out a viral or bacterial invader.
It's doing it on purpose.
Right. Suppressing it actually allows the virus to survive longer. Elderflower supports the body's natural heat-clearing mechanisms. It helps the fever do its job effectively, and then helps the body break the fever safely through sweating.
That is such a huge paradigm shift. And then there are the berries. Elderberry is heavily studied for immune modulation.
Yes, the berries are incredible.
Yeah. It contains these dark purple pigments called anthocyanins. And the research shows these compounds actually inhibit viral replication. They physically stop the virus from entering healthy cells. And they stimulate the production of cytokines.
Let's clarify cytokines really quickly.
Please do.
They're essentially the chemical flare guns of the immune system. When elderberry stimulates cytokine production, it's firing off flares that tell your white blood cells exactly where the infection is and to get there immediately.
Wow.
This is exactly why clinical trials show it can significantly reduce both the duration and the severity of influenza.
Moving from infections to acute trauma, there is yarrow.
Mm-hmm.
The botanical name is Achillea millefolium.
Named after Achilles.
Right, the mythical Greek warrior Achilles who supposedly used it to treat his soldiers' battle wounds.
Yarrow possesses a truly paradoxical action on the blood. It's fascinating. It is heavily hemostatic, meaning if you crush up the leaves and apply them externally to a wound, it rapidly constricts the blood vessels and stops bleeding.
Okay, that makes sense for battle wounds.
However, when you brew it into a tea and take it internally, it does the exact opposite. It actively dilates peripheral blood vessels, vastly improving circulation to the extremities.
Wait. If it stops bleeding, how does it also increase circulation? That sounds entirely contradictory.
It does sound contradictory, but it acts as an amphoteric, which is a substance that normalizes function depending on what the body actually needs at that moment.
Oh, that's wild.
Yeah. If there is an open rupture, its volatile oils and tannins trigger rapid coagulation. But internally, its flavonoids relax the smooth muscles lining the blood vessels, allowing blood to flow more freely.
That is just incredible. And it also acts as a bitter tonic, right?
Yes, and the mechanism of bitters is, well, it's fascinating. When the deeply bitter compounds of yarrow hit the taste receptors on your tongue, it instantly sends a signal up to your brain.
Just from the taste.
Just from the taste. And that signal travels down the vagus nerve directly to your digestive system. It literally primes the pump, telling your stomach to produce acid, your liver to release bile, and your pancreas to secrete enzymes, all before the food even arrives.
So it's jump-starting the entire digestive tract just through the sensation of taste. Incredible.
It really is.
And that brings us to perhaps the most clinically intense herb in our deep dive.
Yeah.
St. John's wort. You recognize it by its bright yellow flowers in open fields.
Yes, Hypericum perforatum.
It acts on multiple neurotransmitters, serotonin, dopamine, and norepinephrine. and it has immense clinical backing for treating mild to moderate depression, as well as nerve pain like sciatica.
It is incredibly powerful for neurological support, but that power comes with a monumental caveat that just cannot be ignored.
Yes. So what does this all mean for you, the listener? Listen closely to this part. The materials explicitly warn that St. John's wort is a massive inducer of CYP3A4 liver enzymes.
We really need to break this down.
We do, because natural does not mean weak. This plant can literally override modern pharmaceutical prescriptions.
To explain this mechanism, think of your liver as your body's chemical filtration system.
Yeah.
CYP3A4 is a specific enzyme pathway in the liver responsible for breaking down foreign chemicals.
Okay.
And that includes roughly half of all pharmaceutical medications on the market today.
Okay, so CYP3A4 is like a bouncer at a club, making sure the right chemicals get processed and escorted out of the body at the right time. What does St. John's wort do?
St. John's wort essentially bribes the bouncer to kick everyone out immediately.
Oh, wow.
It kicks that filtration pathway into absolute hyperdrive. Because of this, the liver rapidly metabolizes and flushes out pharmaceutical medications way before they can do their intended job in your body.
That sounds dangerous.
It can be. This includes highly sensitive medications like hormonal birth control, antiretrovirals, blood thinners, and immunosuppressants.
So to put it bluntly, if you are taking hormonal birth control and you start drinking a bunch of St. John's wort tea because you heard it's good for seasonal sadness, you might accidentally render your birth control completely ineffective because your liver is just filtering it out too fast.
Precisely. Knowledge is only valuable when it is applied safely.
Absolutely.
The clinical potency of these heavy hitters, elder, yarrow, St. John's wort, it shows us that herbs aren't just quaint little folk remedies to be taken lightly. They are highly active biochemical agents.
Yeah, they really are.
What makes them unique is that plants like elder and yarrow tend to work with the body's existing mechanisms, like sweating out a fever or signaling tissue repair rather than just completely shutting off a symptom. But that power demands serious respect.
Which perfectly sets up our final section, the rules of engagement. Before you, the listener, run outside to start harvesting your neighborhood weeds, we have to lay down the practical framework for wildcrafting.
Rule number 1 is absolute certainty in identification. You cannot guess.
No guessing.
None. You must use specific bioregional field guides, plant identification apps cross-checked against multiple sources, or, ideally, the guidance of an experienced botanical expert.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to accidentally brew up a toxic lookalike you found sitting in a puddle of motor oil next to the highway.
Exactly. And that perfectly illustrates rule number 2. Location safety. Never harvest from areas treated with landscaping pesticides, next to heavy vehicle exhaust, or near industrial runoff.
Because they absorb everything.
Right. Plants are bioaccumulators. They absorb whatever heavy metals or chemicals are in their immediate environment.
Makes sense.
And rule number 3 is reciprocity. Wildcrafting requires ecological humility. You take only a small fraction of what you actually need, and you always leave the vast majority of the plant population intact.
Leave no trace, basically.
Right. If you overharvest the area, the medicine disappears for everyone, including the local ecosystem that relies on it.
And obviously, as we just saw with the bouncer analogy for St. John's wort, consult a healthcare practitioner before mixing any wild herbs with your pharmaceutical medications.
Approaching this green world requires critical thinking. It requires us to step back, question our basic assumptions about what a weed actually is, and just be open to learning from multiple perspectives on health and healing.
We have covered so much ground today. We started by looking at annoying weeds like goldenrod and plantain, only to realize they are potent medicines for halting allergic reactions and repairing damaged cellular tissue.
It's a huge shift in perspective.
It really is.
Yeah.
We explored deeply nourishing spring tonics like nettle and cleavers that flush out winter stagnation. We saw how whole plants like meadowsweet and red clover act as sophisticated physiological regulators compared to their isolated pharmaceutical counterparts.
And the cautions.
Right, and we learned that heavy hitters like St. John's wort carry so much clinical power that they demand rigorous safety and respect. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. I hope it encourages you to look a little closer at the green world around you.
Before we wrap up, I do want to leave you with a final thought to ponder.
Go for it.
The texts repeatedly mention that many of these potent medicinal plants, plantain, nettle, lemon balm, goldenrod, they actively thrive in what botanists call disturbed soils.
Disturbed soil.
Yeah, they specifically colonize our overmowed lawns, our compacted pastures, our polluted roadsides, and our sidewalk cracks.
Okay.
So if the greatest natural remedies for human ailments specifically evolved to grow wherever humans actively disrupt and disturb the Earth, is it just a random ecological coincidence? Or did the Earth specifically adapt to provide the exact medicine human civilizations would need, pushing up right outside our front doors?
Wow. So the next time you step over that tough little green shoot pushing its way up through the concrete crack in your driveway, ask yourself,
Mhm.
is it really a weed invading your space, or is it a pharmacy that just opened up exactly where you needed it?